all the support, especially on the previous versus battle we did. We got 700 views on that video. I really appreciate it. Thanks for all the love on the shorts, and let's get into this video right now. So to start off, I'm gonna go ahead and just do the Mickey Mouse portion since it's more simple and whatnot. Okay, so let's go. Mickey Mouse is the mascot of the Walt Disney Company and a funny cartoon animal character. He was created by Walt Disney and Ube Eriks at the Walt Disney Studios in 1928. An anthropomorphic mouse who typically wears red shorts, large yellow shoes, and white gloves. Mickey is one of the world's most recognizable fictional characters who has been in several cartoons and video games such as Kingdom Hearts and Epic Mickey. So, with that being said, guys, now we can go ahead and get into this. Now, for a lot of people who are fully aware of me and know what I do, I tend to just focus on the attack potency and the speed of characters. It's much easier to scale them because when you do things like tune characters, they're tuned or normally going to have some of the same abilities and powers and so and forth. For example, one of Mickey's powers is fourth wall awareness. Can leave the cartoon and mess with the screen and frames of animation, which is just broken and whatnot. But SpongeBob has things like that too, so it won't be that big of a deal when we get to a SpongeBob portion. So ultimately, I'm just gonna try to stick as much as I humanly can to focusing on things such as attack potency and stuff like that, and obviously speed, because those things really do matter. Okay, so when looking at Mickey's attack potency, his first level is large star level because he was far superior to Zeus, helped Aqua in her fight against Ventus with the complete X-Blade. And then we can range him to being higher than even that by using, clearly more high skills, such as we can say he's multi-solar system level, but he's actually likely universe level because he gets a significant amps his base power, capable of manipulating several star systems, just so you guys make sure you heard me clearly, and with the wave of his hand, manipulating celestial bodies. However, the latter is debatable on what they are. Briefly fought against Jafar with the Sorcerer's Hat, and Genie Jafar obviously is a genie with magical powers who can grant, wishes and whatnot, which means that yes, that puts him at the tier of universal level, which is pretty impressive. That's a pretty high tier. Now, it's nothing too crazy, but yeah, it's pretty crazy. I mean, it's not like multi, universal or anything like that, but he is universal, so that's pretty good for Mickey's like that, like his attack bonus. So let's get into speed. Okay, Mickey's speed, he's maxed with FTL at the base. Dodge laser fire is a very quick and nimble character on par with Sora and Rookie. Is able to keep up with certain characters if Sora falls, comparable to Ventus, transverse the solar system with Pluto, and reacts to things that are happening around them, which is just insane to be traveling in the universe to be able to react to things around you. That means you would have to be using at around MLTL plus speeds, obviously. Then you can say he's likely infinite because he moved around in the realm of darkness, a place where time quite literally does not exist, which is literally the definition of infinite speed. Then you could say to immeasurable because he was comparable to young Angstonet, who transcends time as stated by Tetsuya Nomura. Now, I'm just going to be honest with you. When it comes to this, I'm going to just give Mickey immeasurable based off that calc that, I went over and whatnot. But to be completely honest with you, I think his speed is somewhere around infinite, but I'll give him immeasurable. Because, literally that's what the definition of infinite is, moving in a place where time doesn't exist. But the immeasurable one is kind of iffy, but I'll just give it to him anyways. With that being said, though, we can again talk about durability a little bit. I just like, to add in some things. His durability is likely multiversal level plus survived hits from Asm and Aximus, and multi-solar system level, possible universe level. Briefly fought Genie Jafar and caught Fireball from him. And basically, when you do scaling, you can kind of scale the attack bonus of a character to their defensive capabilities, such as durability. So I just want that to be known. But with this being said, we're going to go ahead and get into the SpongeBob portion right now. Alright, y'all, so now we have SpongeBob. SpongeBob SquarePants is a character, is a cartoon sea sponge who works in the Krusty Krab with his neighbor Squidward and his boss, Mr. Krabs. He owns a pet snail named Gary, has an idiotic friend Patrick, and is friends with the squirrel genius Sandy. He serves as the main protagonist for the longest running Nicktoons show, SpongeBob SquarePants, SpongeBob. Okay, y'all heard the theme and whatnot. Now, similar to Mickey, I will only be going over SpongeBob's attack potency and not necessarily all of his abilities. What I'm going to mention right now is a counter to what I said earlier about Mickey and fourth wall awareness. Not that SpongeBob doesn't have fourth wall awareness himself, because he quite literally does have that, I think, on a normal scale. But if you look at SpongeBob's page, there's a page that quite literally allows SpongeBob to pretty much control what happens. The official people of Nickelodeon made an entire video on every time SpongeBob broke the fourth wall. So yeah, there's quite literally that. And he also has plot manipulation because he scales the characters. You can put and move the time cards. Can move in front of the time card and mimic the narrator. Accidentally crash to the narrator. Him and Patrick, the episode, scales to Patrick, who was able to go somewhere outside the episode and stopping it from ending. And scales to Squidward, who did the same. So yeah, those right there are feats that quite literally give you the exact same thing that I said about Mickey having it as well. So in case you guys were a little curious about that, SpongeBob really had it, well, that right there lets you know that he does have that. Now, what we also have to talk about is attack potency. Okay, so SpongeBob's like scales are actually a little bit more difficult to do. Like, it's much longer. So yeah, bear with me while I go over SpongeBob's whole section. SpongeBob's attack potency initially starts off at moon level. SpongeBob and others shake and survive the shaking of the moon, so that would make it moon level. Planet level, survive the explosion. In large planet level, SpongeBob survives the ocean getting sucked multiple times, as well as sucking up all the water from the ocean, the ocean would make him large planet level. Is what that scale is basically saying. Then you can say he's large star level. SpongeBob's brain contains a sun inside, which it actually does. Multi-solar system SpongeBob created the locker, which held planets and countless stars inside of it. You can also argue he's galaxy level. SpongeBob unravels the Milky Way, which he quite literally does in the episode where he untangles the string. You can argue he's universal level plus. The string also erased the universe as well completely and erased everything from it. I've actually seen this episode, so I know exactly where the scale is 100%. Why it's 100%. And multiversal level plus. The magic page was the stage to be able to destroy all of reality, which SpongeBob has infinite reality. SpongeBob was able to fall on these realities. My bad, I didn't even say that. And then you can make a case that high multiversal level plus was on the same dimensional plane as the Dreamy Dreamer, which, if you didn't know, is that broken. You can also argue that SpongeBob is possibly hyperverse level, which I think we can just say SpongeBob scaling is going crazy right now. The Dreamy Dreamer sees these dimensions as just a dream in the SpongeBob verse, possibly outerversal, because SpongeBob access our own dimension, and SpongeBob grown to life and transcends the game, which is just arguing he's outerversal. Now, around outerversal scaling is where I start to think maybe we're getting a little too off of it, but I'll keep going. You can argue he's high outerversal. SpongeBob is able to is above random land by viewing it as fiction. Random land, which stated by Mr. Krabs, technically defies the laws of nature. The laws of nature would include things like cause and effect and polarity. Polarity is the cause of dualism and monism and is important to the relationship between duality, which would be a type 3 trans duality, giving SpongeBob this tier as he is above this. So basically what we are at right now with SpongeBob scaling is SpongeBob is sitting pretty much on a tier of his own, where he is all the way up in the high outerversal levels, which is just insane. Now, to be fair, you could make a case that his high outerversal scaling sounds a whole lot better than his outerversal scaling. Honestly, you could just skip that and just say high outerversal scaling, and then you're like, well, yeah, now it sounds a lot better because it just makes more sense. But for me, I'm thinking either hyperverse level or high outerverse level. The outerverse scaling isn't that consistent, but the high outerverse sounds way more consistent and way more fulfilling. Now, to SpongeBob's credit, I'm just gonna give him my outerversal for this, and I'm just gonna skip this, and we're just gonna get to speed. Well, there isn't anything else to go over. I just want to make that clear. So yeah, high outerversal was the end of his attack potency scaling, anyways. Speed. SpongeBob's MFDL plus outran the Atlanteans, who can reach these speeds. Obviously, with this fast, was this fast when unraveling the galaxy. Remember what I said about the string. Scales towards Sandy, who jumped from the moon to Saturn in a few seconds. Immeasurable, because he can transcend the multiverse at his peak, which are comprised of infinite amounts of space time continuums. And irrelevant. Speed, arguably, because he transcended the multiverse, which has random land, a high 1A structure. Now, a high 1A structure, that's what random land is, and they're saying he's irrelevant to that because he transcended the multiverse, which, you know, if that's the case, it just makes him irrelevant speed. So this means that SpongeBob has irrelevant speed and high outerversal levels of power, just going based off his things, speed and that. And like I said, his durability is equal to that. So yeah, just keep those things in mind. But now, guys, with those things being out of the way, we got all the scaling done. Let's get into the part where we discuss all of this together. Alright guys, now this is probably going to be the shortest part because I don't really see why this part would be long. It's not like I'm going over 50 million abilities. It's not like I'm going to cover those. Like I said, I'm only going to cover the attack potency section and so on and so forth and speed section. So if you guys remembered what I said in both sections, it would make it very easy to determine who I'm ultimately going to say wins this fight. It's not that hard to kind of guess where I was going after doing scaling for both SpongeBob and Mickey Mouse. With speed, SpongeBob wins by being irrelevant speed or having a relevant speed. Now, when we look at somebody like a Mickey, what his ultimate speed was immeasurable because he was comparable to young Azarin, who transcends time as stated by Tetsu Yamamura. Now, although that sounds good and all, I don't think that scaling is even that consistent because you're scaling it off of Tetsu Yamamura. Now, with that being said, for the benefit of the doubt for all you Mickey fans, I'll just say he has immeasurable speed, but that could easily be debunked and he could easily just have infinite speed. But for the sake of argument, I'm just going to say Mickey has immeasurable speed because why not? Now, when we're going into power, Mickey, remember, he said he had universal level. If you guys didn't know this, universal level, as I said, is below multi-universal, is below hyperversal, and it's extremely below outerversal. Outerversal is tapping into like literally the tier right before the best tier ever for fictional characters, which is quite literally tier 0. So when we look at somebody like a Mickey who is only universal level, SpongeBob has him beating power by quite a bit. Let's go over that as well. SpongeBob's strength, if you remember correctly, is high outerversal because SpongeBob is above Random Land by viewing it as fiction. Which, if you didn't know, Random Land, which is stated by Mr. Krabs, changes defies the law of nature. The laws of nature, which include things like cause and effect and polarity. And as I already said, polarity is the cause of dualism and monism, and is important to the relationship between duality, which would be a type 3 trans duality, giving SpongeBob this tier, as he is above this entirely. So what that pretty much means is SpongeBob at his very highest is outerversal, which once again is one tier away from balance, which is the top tier in versus and scaling. Thus meaning SpongeBob outclasses Mickey by 4 to 3 to 5 tiers. That is how much stronger he is. And when we're talking about the speed, yes, SpongeBob was immeasurable at a point because he transcended the multiverse at his peak, which are comprised of infinite amounts of space-time continuums, which is all good and all. But we also have to remember that SpongeBob transcended the multiverse, which has Random Land, a high 1A structure. And as long as that's the case, SpongeBob's speed can practically be irrelevant, which is beyond that. If you didn't know this, irrelevant speed is not the fastest you can go, but it is right around there. Actually, no, irrelevant actually is the fastest you can go, I'm pretty sure, in fiction. So SpongeBob is literally the second to almost strongest thing in fiction. He's one tier away from boundless, and is quite literally, I think, the fastest tier you can humanly be in a tiering system because it's higher than immeasurable. So with that being said, not only does SpongeBob win in the category of speed, but he destroys him in power so significantly that Mickey quite literally has no chance of doing anything to SpongeBob. So with that all being said, I'm giving it to SpongeBob. Now, I know you guys might want me to go over the powers and abilities, but I promise you those things won't help. They're practically the exact same in those. What is going to be the difference is this, and that's what I covered. So guys, if you did enjoy the video, please be sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell to be informed about new videos whenever we upload them. Thanks for tuning in, and I will catch you guys in the next video. I can never say this enough, and I will never be able to say this enough. Thank you.